You're listening to Fast Facts Perio Edition. And now, here's your host, Katrina Sanders.
Hello, and welcome to Fast Facts Perio Edition. We're going to begin this year by deep diving, pun intended, into what we understand about the history of periodontal disease. And I don't just mean the history that our patients are presenting with, but rather where it is that the study of periodontitis really began. Today's weird facts are going to be focused around how Egyptians have given us some information about what it is that we understand today about periodontitis. Scientists have been studying a particular mummy from the necropolis area in Egypt. This mummy is over 4,000 years old, and in this mummy, they were able to identify within the corpse's teeth an astonishing display of periodontitis. This scientific research of periodontitis encouraged our researchers to dive a bit more into identifying where this case of periodontitis came from. Well, fun fact, mummies have their internal organs removed during the mummification process and stored into jars. These jars, interestingly enough, were, of course, full of little teeny tiny piles of dust, but bones that were also in perfect shape. When studying the bones and subsequent teeth of this mummy, it was identified that this particular mummy not only had significant periodontal disease, but also type 1 diabetes. What's more, as we began to unpack a bit more in the history or the pre-history of periodontitis, we began to see other research pieces bubbling up. Dr. Jourdain was a researcher in the 1700s who did an incredible amount of research in the space of periodontitis. And he concluded in the 1700s that scurvy was a probable cause of periodontitis. Now, while this has now been since proven as incorrect, his theory was based on the concept or fact that when he was studying his patients, there was an overt amount of gum recession that came with individuals who experienced scurvy. Scurvy it was documented, also cause abscesses to form within the gum tissues, which then, of course, eventually led to teeth becoming loose and subsequently falling out. Although this has been debunked, we have leveraged a lot of the research that Dr. Jourdain and some of our scientists studying thousands of year-old mummies in beginning to identify where it is that we see the link between oral and subsequent systemic disease. From this, we have learned, for example, the two-way street between periodontitis and diabetes. And with Dr. Jourdain and his research around scurvy and periodontitis, we have in turn concluded that vitamin C deficiency, causative to scurvy, certainly can contribute to diseases of the periodontium. Thank you so much for tuning in today as we unpacked a fun historical fact around periodontitis. Thank you for joining me, Katrina Sanders, and I look forward to seeing you next week as we continue discussing fast facts about periodontitis. This has been another episode of Fast Facts Perio Edition with Katrina Sanders. Please feel free to reach me on Instagram at The Dental Wine Genist or on my website, www.katrinasanders.com. Cheers.